Okay, everyone, let's do another review video. We're going to continue with solving some quadratics. Here we go. So this number 29, this one you could try to factor, guys, but it's not going to work. So when you can't factor, what is your backup plan? Will always be the quadratic formula, right? And I have it, of course, over here to the top right of my screen. Negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, right? And so anyways, let's get going here. We know the a is 1 because that's the coefficient in front of the x squared. B in this case is negative 2. C is 5. And when I go ahead and do my quadratic formula, I'm going to take the negative of b. Use parentheses, by the way, guys. Square root b squared, use those parentheses, minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. And continuing with our math, we would have a positive 2 from there, plus or minus the square root. I'm going to erase that plus. I don't know why it bothers me, but why write plus when you don't need to, right? And notice right in here, I get a positive 4 minus 20 all over 2. 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 16 over 2, which equals 2 plus or minus 4i, because the square root of 16 is 4. The square root of negative 16 would just be 4i, right? The negative, in other words, gives us an I over 2. And then right here, guys, hopefully you recognize I could distribute a division of 2. So the perfect answer is going to be positive 1 plus 2i and 1 minus 2i. All I did was separate the plus and the minus over here. But these are my two answers, which again, notice, are complex, imaginary answers, right? And so that's how you would solve that one. This one you could not factor again. You would have to use quadratic formula. And let's look at the graph to see if it makes sense. If we look at the graph, guys, notice the x-axis way down here. See again how the graph up here never crosses down here. Remember, when it does not cross the x-axis, there are no real roots or answers. They are going to be imaginary, complex answers, okay? And that's what you got on this one. So pause the video here if you need to. And we're just going to do one more, guys. Now, to save a little time, this one had similar numbers in it. So follow the green. I went ahead and did it ahead of time, as you can see. Follow the green here. First of all, right now, guys, I want to remind you, you got to have that quadratic formula memorized, okay? You're about ready to step into an upper level, legit college level math class. You better know your quadratic formula. But anyways, that said, we know our b is 2, our a is 1, our c is 5, according to our given function here. Plugging them in, we have a negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And as you can see the math, I'm going to change the red here, guys. Follow the red. Down here, you're going to end up with that 4 minus 20 situation again, which leads to the square root of negative 17 again, which gives us a 4i again. The only difference between this one, you notice, and this previous one is this one's a positive 2, whereas this one had a negative 2 in front. And the last thing you notice again here, guys, I divided that 2 into both numbers since they were even. And here's my answer. We could expand it out as negative 1 plus 2i and negative 1 minus 2i. The bottom line, we have two imaginary answers once again. And let's look at the graph. Notice the x-axis is down here again. Our graph is up here. It never crosses down here. So once again, this is why we are going to have imaginary, or better known in this case, complex answers. In other words, answers with I in them, right? Because it never crosses the x-axis. So pause the video here if you need to, guys. Now, I hope you do practice these problems more than once and think about what a complex answer means. You're going to be seeing more complex and more tricky answers, guys, when you step into math class next year. So let's start getting used to it right now. I'll see you in class.